Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I'm very happy to welcome Lee Martin here today. It's quite interesting. I was trying to take care of my Medicare benefits. I Googled what I thought was the number of the place that I was supposed to be talking to, and I ended up getting Lee Martin instead. And I'm glad I did, because he got me a good deal on my insurance, and we just got into a great conversation, and I said, you know what? I think you should come on my show, because I have almost been the victim of a few scams and, not some nefarious people out there. And Lee has, I guess, some tips for us. Before we get into all that, Lee, tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I have been writing Medicare now for 11 years. I'm licensed in Texas, Oregon, Washington, Utah, Nevada, a couple other states. And the main thing I'm finding with the over 65 crowd is that they're getting harassed. I mean, you guys are getting harassed by the telemarketers. And one of the problems is you guys don't know your rights. I mean, there's a company called CMS. CMS oversees and distributes and basically rules. They're like if there was a king of marketing for seniors, it's CMS. They make all the rules, they do all the fines, they do all that sort of stuff. And they don't do a very good job, or they don't do a job at all, of informing seniors of what marketers can and cannot do. So one of the very interesting things that no one knows is that, see, I'm basically a telemarketer, what they consider a telemarketer. And what seniors do not know is I cannot call you without your written consent. I can't do it. I also cannot approach you in person. If you are an elderly person, obviously elderly, and let's say I see you walking on the sidewalk and you're using a cane, you're on senior Medicare, you're obviously on here, you obviously might need my help. I cannot go up and shake your hand and say, hi, how's your Medicare plan doing? I can't do that. All that is highly and strictly regulated, but we have all these telemarketers who are basically ignoring the laws. I mean, they are ignoring the rules to make it harder for everyone out there who's trying to do it legit, like myself. And there's quite a few of us out there trying to do a really good job for you guys. But we can't do that job with the telemarketers harassing you guys all the time. I don't want to talk to you unless you want to talk to me. If you don't need help, I don't want to talk to you. You're wasting my time, And my time is precious, and so is everybody else's. And we don't have time to deal with the people who don't want to be talked to. If you don't want to be talked to, fine. But, we want to reach you if you need help. And because of these telemarketers, we're not reaching who aren't obeying the rules. We are not reaching the people who need to be reached. Does that make any sense?
Right.
Because they're aggravating the average consumer. The average consumer hangs up. And what you guys do not know is they literally cannot call you without your written consent. I know this was news to you, Kyle.
Yeah, it was, because I was getting at least 20 calls a day, and I know it was my benefits. Right. Yeah, and immediately I was getting at least 20 calls a day. Now, last year when I got the call, I worked with someone who got me a fairly good deal, nowhere near as good as what you got me.
Right. And because I have carrier special license, I'm not licensed with just one carrier. Mm-hmm. I'm licensed with hundreds of carriers. And it takes me, we have to do education every summer where we have to go back and individually relicense with every carrier for Medicare every year. Mm-hmm. It takes me literally like 75 to 80 hours of education time on the computer doing things like this to get your licenses in tow, just so you can market in those states.
Right.
And I'm only marketing like 7 or 8 states, and that's just because that's all the time I have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
Yes.
And so somebody who's licensed in, like they say they're licensed in 50 states, I don't believe them. Okay, because that would literally take 90 days of sitting through classes, literally. And I don't believe you. licensed in all 50 states? Yeah, maybe for one carrier, you're licensed in all 50 states. But when you're dealing multiple carriers, you have to do each carrier, and then you go through the states, and then not only have to do one class of the carrier, generally it's up to 3 classes per carrier per year.
Hmm.
So that's 3 hours for every carrier you have of education and seminar.
Right.
Okay. So when they tell you the license, I don't believe them. They might be licensed in all 50 states, one carrier. Yeah, maybe. But I keep about 10 carriers, and it takes me literally about 80 hours
Goodness.
every summer to go through the licenses. But that's just the licenses,
Yeah.
as continuing education. But let's stay on the marketing. The marketing, CMS literally says how you can do marketing. And there's so many people out there breaking the rules. And what I would like to get out there is that there's a couple ways to stop it. One, everybody just hangs up their phone, which that kind of works, but it really doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Way to stop it is to waste their time. If you're on the phone with them and you just, let me go get Bob. Bob's interested, and just leave it there on the phone, let him hang up. It'll jack the telephone bill.
Oh, really?
For that time. Oh, yeah. And not only that, and we actually have to buy every lead that we have. We pay money for your information. Okay. And so it exhausts those funds, especially when they aren't getting anywhere, and then they have no funds to replenish. Understand?
Right.
So if you get somebody on the phone and they're like, the pre-recorded calls, I'm not even 65, and I've got 5 pre-recorded calls. Also, pre-recorded calls are against the rules. They cannot call you with one of these things with an auto dialer that has a message on it. They can't do that. It's not allowed. But here they are. Why?
I'm getting those.
Somebody's giving them business.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be giving them business so they can stay in business. Am I making any sense?
Yes, sir.
And if you quit giving them business and do business with the people, we're not out to scam anyone. I don't want to scam anyone. I want a good reputation. I've been doing this for 10 years. I have people who've been in my book of business for 10 or 12 years. And I have never scammed anyone. Always honest and straightforward with them. They might be a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, or they don't understand something wrong. And then they always blame it on me rather than calling back and asking the question. Like, how does this work? Why is this working? I'm here for that. If you need help, call your broker. Don't try to do this stuff by yourself. And another rumor is that you get it less expensively by going to the carrier. Nah, wrong. You do not. There is no discounts for buying it directly from the carrier. What you do not have. Someone like me, I have about 300 Medicare clients. And if your plan was bad, who would I hear from first? You, right?
Right.
Hear from you, right?
Right.
So if you're not dealing with a broker, you don't have the feedback from their client, right? Against what plans work and what plans don't work. Now, I assume, and every broker will do this, I assume that if I don't hear from you, then you're happy. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Because you're not having any problem. Well, I'm not going to think about calling. The other thing people don't do is they don't keep your broker in the loop. If you're going, I had just tried to help them, but you can't lead a horse to water, right?
Right.
You want to lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. And they experienced a huge out of pocket because they literally just went to the wrong doctor. I mean, the doctor that they went to was out of network, and all he did was go get a series of shots, and now they're in the hole $12,000 because they didn't know the doctor was out of network. Now, had he called his broker before he went and got the shot, hint, hint, he would have known that doctor was out of network, or that office was out of network for him.
Right.
And I tried to convince them to move to a different carrier where they would be in network, but they wouldn't listen. A lot of them are afraid, and I get it, you're afraid to change, I get it. Why fix what's not broken once you have to? And then number one, there's only a couple of reasons to change your plan in my book. One, your doctor isn't in network. 2, your medications are conflict, which I think was your kid.
Yeah, my drug costs were just crazy.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah, I'm on Ozempic for my
Mhm.
diabetes, and one shot was, or one pin, should I say, which is 4 shots you get out of one pin. So that's for 1 month, was costing me out of pocket almost $300. And
And
I'm
that's
like, how are you supposed to afford that?
well, here's a hint for you too. If you run across a medication, some of these medications are expensive. I mean, if you're dealing with something like cancer, they're expensive. I'm not kidding you. You're talking 100 grand a year or
Mm-hmm.
more for some of these things. And if you run across a medication that's expensive, ask if there's any way the doctor can give you medication, like by a shot or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're only subject to the Part B deductible. Because if it's administered by the doctor, it's covered under B and not D. It doesn't go towards the rest of your true out-of-pocket costs. It doesn't go towards your, because there's two separate deductibles. There's B hospital deductible, and there's medication deductible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're having the doctor administer, it doesn't go on your Part D. It goes under Part B, where you're max out of pocket, like, $1,500 or whatever, even on every plan. But still, when you're talking about a medication that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's the way you do it. Because in Part D, you're up to 33%. I mean, that's $30,000 a year. Under Part B, you're like 1,500. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of people don't know that. That's another good out for people, is to do that. And a lot of people, it was knowledge to me. I learned that about 3 years ago. So that's hidden knowledge. A little nugget, I would. And go ahead, Colin. Do anything else?
Well, another thing I didn't like about the insurance that I'm currently on is that when I went to the dentist, they paid for the extraction of my wisdom teeth, but they wouldn't pay for the anesthesia. So that was $900 out of my pocket.
Some things are covered and some things are not. And that coverage, unfortunately, varies from carrier to carrier and state to state. And you really have to watch what you're doing. I believe, I'm not 100% sure what the details were on your plan, but I believe it didn't have comprehensive coverage, which is like everything else.
Yeah.
So it was probably limited on that, or you could have run out of dental. I mean, every dental is like a savings account. Say there's $2,000 in there for the year. Once that $2,000 is exhausted, then it's gone. But I think in your case, it wasn't covered at all because it was considered on the comprehensive side rather than the necessary side. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Well, what I'm kind of concerned about right now is that even though I know these guys aren't playing by the rules, there are some legit companies, but there's also those that call you that are not legit, that are just out to get your information, to scam you, to steal your identity.
And way around that. Every producer has what's called an NPN, National Producer Number. Ask them for the license number. Just ask them, you got a license number for me? They're unwilling to give you your license number, don't do business with them. Because I'll give you my license number. I won't speak it here on here because people will abuse it. Right. But I'm insured to $1 million. I'm insured, my advice is insured to $1 million. So, Arizona, Michigan. And if they won't give you your license, don't do business with them.
Now, what about the calls that you get that you'll say, you just get on, you say hello, and they capture your voice, and they use AI to use your voice to do other nefarious things with how do you handle that?
That's a good question. I haven't heard of that one yet.
I mean, personally, what I've started doing is, if I'm not sure if it's a legit person, what they want, I will answer the phone, but I won't say anything. and I will listen. And if a person actually comes on and says, hello, hello, okay, well, I'll talk to them, find out what they
Well, that's
want.
another thing. You don't answer a recording. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a recording.
If it's a
In
recording,
the first place.
I've noticed the recording, the robo
Mm-hmm.
calls, there'll be a little beep or something. And if they don't get an answer, then it just hangs up.
Yeah, that's one. Don't say anything. That's probably the best route you can go. I mean, one of my clients a couple of years ago, all she did was answer the phone, and they enrolled her in a different plan. And she told them no, and it was on the recording that she told them no. And I even turned it into CMS, and they didn't do anything. We had these guys stone cold. We had their number, we had their license number, and CMS didn't do anything. The only thing I didn't figure out was which carrier it was. The carriers almost have more authority than CMS when it comes down, because if the carrier finds out you're doing something, they'll pull your license. The carrier, it happens in a snap. But a lot of times they want to do business, and it depends on sometimes how much business that person writes. If they're a big producer for them, they may not want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But every carrier always preaches the cornerstone is accountability on their thing, and that compliance is their cornerstone of their business. And I don't see why they wouldn't pull a license when somebody has a legitimate complaint.
Well, we just want to make sure we have someone in our corner if we're having problems like that. I didn't know that they could just switch you even though you told them no. I mean, that would really screw things up for a lot of people.
Yeah,
and all the other scams they come up with.
Another thing you can do, a lot of people don't know this, if you are accidentally enrolled in a plan, or you're enrolled, you can figure out which carrier it is. Because the carrier is going to send you a new card, right? The carrier is going to want you to use their stuff. They're going to send you a new ID card. If you do it within 30 days, you call the carrier and say, pull my enrollment. Just cancel it. I didn't want to enroll this plan, pull my enrollment. Call a customer service number on the back of the card and pull my enrollment, and talk to the customer service. Hey, talk to them about the person who called you. There's no law against that. You talk to them. Talk to the carrier. The carrier doesn't know.
Right.
The carrier doesn't know you didn't submit the application. The carrier has the application process of the application. Here we go. But the carrier doesn't know. So you can call the carrier directly and say, hey, pull my application. I don't want to change. And they have to respond, and then also that's called there's a termination, the name for that, that's called a rapid disenrollment if you're not in the plan for 90 days. And that has to be investigated by the CMS. So hopefully if they have enough investigations, that person will have to answer for that. Because you are, as a broker, you are held accountable by the carrier for rapid disenrollments under Medicare. And if you have a lot of them, then you start having problems getting licenses. So you want to go at all costs.
If you were to enroll with a different carrier, have you, or is it normal for the carrier you just left to call you to try to get you to stay with them?
No, it's not. Matter of fact, it's not even allowed.
Okay. Because I got one of those calls.
Phone calls are allowed. Because they cannot, because once you are not a customer of theirs, they can't call you. It is telemarketing. They have to have your written consent to call you. And if you're not part of if you're no longer part of their thing, no longer part of their group, then they cannot contact you. Literally, they can't. It's against CMS rules. So it boils down to, again, permission to contact. They have to have permission to contact. And by the way, permission to contact runs out. Permission to contact only lasts for 30 days.
Really?
Even if you're on like one of these sites and you do put your name in, they only call you for 1 month. That's it. After that, their permission's over with. Now, there's another paper called a scope of appointment, which you were familiar with. I sent you that and you signed it before we started. That document's good for the entire year. If you sign, but it's only good for that person you signed the scope with. They're not allowed to sell your information to other people. And another thing that happens that people don't know about is that you can call your insurance carrier, and let's say your call was for Blue Cross Blue Shield, for example, top one, and you want to make some changes to your policy.
Mm-hmm.
You call, you leave them a message. Sometimes the carrier sells that information as a lead to me. Says, hey, this person's looking for a new policy, and the carrier sells it to me. I'm pissed because I'm out money, right? And you're pissed because you're out time. And the carrier can do that. So if you find the carrier, I don't know that Blue Cross did that. I don't know. There's a couple carriers in my area that do that, and I'm aware of who they are. And so when I call people, if I call you, my first question is going to kind of be, hey, like yours was, are you looking for insurance? Are you looking to do something with your Medicare plan? I think that was pretty much what I thought to you. And that's why I asked that question. Are you looking? And see, that's an honest approach. Because they say, no, I'm not looking great, you're gone, you know. And so that's the most honest way I found to do it. Is to simply call, are you looking to make a change? And if you're not looking to make a change, well, then, you know, wasting my time. So,
Yeah.
very overtime with it.
Well, a company, I forgot exactly how I got in touch with this company to begin with, but I was looking to see if I could change my benefits, and I talked to someone. They said, hey, we'll get in touch with you in about a month, and then we'll go from there. Like, okay, we can do that.
And what happened was, I think I got your information on what's called an IVR. An IVR is inbound verification request.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was they took your request and they sold it to me.
Well, what I did was I was trying to find their number because I wanted to make sure this was a legit company. And so I Googled and I found the company, and I thought that I had gotten their number, but I think I'd gotten one of those helplines that sends you out to, 100 million different people.
And you got lucky.
And anyway, they said, well, let me get you in contact with someone that's affiliated with your area. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then you got on the line, and I asked you if you were a part of such and such company, and you're like, no, but are you looking for insurance? Because I could do the same thing. And I'm like, well, okay. And then we started from there.
Yeah, and you honestly got lucky. I picked up the phone, you got lucky, I think.
Hey, I feel like I got pretty
lucky
lucky.
too. I got a good client, and we both got lucky. Yeah, it really does irritate me that these companies are out there and doing that, and like it just makes my job so much harder. I can't reach people who want to be reached.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I got scared because the number that I was talking to them from originally was a local area code.
Yeah.
And someone told me, oh, that they're not supposed to ask you this and they're not supposed to ask you that, and they just try to get your information so they can scam you. So I started to panic, and that's when I decided, oh, let me Google. And I tried to Google their number, and they said, oh, we'll tell you whose it is if you give us X amount of dollars. I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. And that's when I said, well, why don't I just call the company direct and make sure that's who I'm talking to? And I got the wrong number, which ended up being the right number.
Yeah, that it did. And I'm glad to help. And I'll help anybody in your area. And my number is 503-508-2685. I'm here in Oregon, but I work Texas, Washington, Utah, Arizona. I worked a number of states. And if I don't work in your state, I'll be happy to find somebody honest who does. Fair enough.
Do you have a website?
I do. It's lmartinhealthmarkets.com. So you can just look up health markets and type in Lee Martin, and you'll find our website.
Well, what I usually do is I put the links for my guests in the description. So if the people that are listening want to find you easily, they can just click on it and go straight to it. But
Let me send that to you.
Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. This has been helpful, and I'm sure if somebody had more questions, they could get in touch with you.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be happy to help them. Like I said, I'll even refer them. If you're not in the state I do business, I don't do business in, I'll refer you to somebody who is.
That's awesome, because I don't know how many people would be willing to do that.
I'll be happy to help. I don't charge any money. That's another thing. Another misconception is a broker charges you more money. No, we can't. We're paid by the insurance company. And the other thing is, it's like, we'll get it cheaper. No, you won't. Because what's going to happen is, if you don't use somebody like me, the fee for your marketing, there's a marketing fee built into every insurance plan that's sold. And I get the marketing fee. If you go to the company, you're going to see more like, don't name it commercials. You want more of those? So I'd rather see you use a local broker. Or somebody, at least somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Try to make sure they know what you're. Ask them how long they've been in business. Ask them a few questions about Medicare. They don't seem like they're like up and out. They know what they're doing.
One final thing before we go. Are they allowed to ask you for your Medicare number?
An agent can only obtain the information that's necessary to do an enrollment. They can only ask you that once you've agreed to enroll.
Okay.
If you haven't agreed to enroll and you haven't looked at a plan, they got no business asking your Medicare ID number. Okay. Oh, and by the way, if you have an old card that just has your social security number, get rid of that thing, get the right card. And you can go on to the Medicare website, and you have an account at Medicare, or all Medicare recipients do, have an account at Medicare.gov. And you can get those numbers off that card. The only reason you ever should need your Medicare card is if you're in an Advantage plan. You should be using the card from the carrier, not your Medicare card.
Right.
The only reason you need your Medicare card ever is to change your plan. The doctors really don't need to see it. They might be sticky about it. Maybe they're just trying to verify that you're on Medicare, but I think they're being a little bit picky about it, because you can't get the Medicare card from the carrier unless you're on Medicare.
Right.
Right? You cannot get a United Health card that says I'm in United Health HMO1 or HMO2 or whatever. You cannot get that card unless you're confirmed to be on Medicare. So I don't understand a lot of times why the doctors insist on having that Medicare card, unless it's just like a backup, but that's not really necessary. I mean, if you got down to the nitty gritty and you don't want to give people your keep as much of the information as you can to yourself. Don't give it out freely. And like I said, the doctors shouldn't need that Medicare card. I don't know why they ask for it. It's unclear to me, because you have to have Medicare to get a Medicare Advantage card, get an ID from the insurance company.
So the company that I was going to work with, they asked me for my number right off the bat.
Don't do that.
That's
Don't
another reason
that.
why I panicked, because I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to just give that number out freely.
Don't just give that number out. Not once I don't think I asked you that number until we were doing the enrollment.
Right.
That was one of the last things I asked.
That was the last thing you asked me. I felt more comfortable because now I know what I'm supposed to do.
Right. And now, and if they're not willing to explain the process, don't deal with them.
Yeah.
There's so many of us out here that are in the health markets agency alone. There's 4,000 agents.
Wow.
all over the United States. And there's a whole bunch of us in Texas. I don't even know how you got me. We both got lucky. But there's a lot of us around, and we're trained to a little higher standard than most of them. And health markets requires quite a bit more training and accountability than others.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of carriers out there that they just don't care. A lot of agencies, they don't care that, what their agents do or how they treat people. I've always tried, I helped 3 people enroll yesterday. I literally drove to their house an hour and a half away to do it.
Wow.
Because they were elderly, they couldn't really hear very well. I took the applications to them, did the enrollment in person with them. And there's not a lot of people who do that anymore. I used to do it all the time. I used to put 18,000 miles on my car in 60 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's how much I was driving. I was just like, I started working over the internet. It was a lot less driving.
Right. Well, again, Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome, Kyle. I hope this helps people.
Also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. And for my regulars, you guys are awesome because you make it possible for me to do this. Until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network